Hey guys, it's mid-March and I thought I would do a mid-March garden tour. There's not much to see, but as you can see, we do have a spot of brightness back here. This is the area in front of the shed. And everything is still looking quite brown, but these early blooming daffodils are just glorious. So I'm enjoying those. And this is why it's good to have early, mid, and late blooming bulbs, because these especially are most appreciated. Aren't they gorgeous? Let me know if you have any daffodils blooming in your yard. Not much is happening in the rustic garden bed. I'm starting to see a few green shoots coming up with some daffodils, but it's still pretty brown. But I had an unwelcome surprise over here. This is my persimmon tree, and it's a very old persimmon tree. It's been here longer than we have. We've been here about 31 years. But look at what's going on, guys. I actually only noticed it because I saw a whole bunch of wood down at the bottom, and I came over and took a look, and half the tree is missing. So I think that one's gonna come down. We just had our huge pine taken out, and I didn't notice it in time to ask the tree people to take care of this as well. But as you can see, it's a pretty devastating hole, almost halfway through the tree. And this is gonna make me very nervous to be back here. But I almost think that the wind is gonna take it over at this point. So if I don't come back here too much, you'll know why. It's kind of a dangerous situation. They're a little bit hard to see, but these red twig dogwoods that I made from cuttings a couple years ago actually are a decent size now. And it's a little bit hard for you to see, but they're bright red. And they will certainly be a lot prettier as they mature, but I'm enjoying how they look. And they're pretty skeletal on the camera, but they're all behind this bench that I have back here. Bright red, just gorgeous. There's been a huge change here, and as I mentioned, we had to take our white pine down. It had some really huge branches come down in an ice storm, and we started to get worried that a few might still be left up in the tree compromised and weakened. So we decided, after living with it for 30 years, we'd go ahead and make over the area by having it taken down. It also, had it fallen, would have taken out this whole end of the house. So it was time to remove it. And as you can see, it really changes the nature of this whole side of the garden. It's a lot more open, and I have some young Japanese maples planted here and here, but they're so young you can barely see them. So I'll have to wait until they get some size to even notice them. But I am going to plant some evergreens behind the chair, and I have to see where the hostas are going to come up before I do that. I don't know if you can tell, but I had to reseed some craters in the garden, in the lawn, because some of the logs that came down caused the earth to shake and made just huge dents in the lawn. So I had to put topsoil and some seed, and I chopped up some of my miscanthus grass to cover it. I didn't want the birds to be enjoying the grass seed. They have their own feeders, but for now I've got these rehabbing parts of my lawn, and probably in the end they'll be the greenest part of the lawn by the end of the summer. But here's our new seating area, and these chairs were up by the compost bins, obviously not being used. Nobody would want to sit next to a compost bin. So I've arranged them down here, and I think it's going to be a nice new area. It is fun to redevelop an area when things change. But this is one of the small trees I was talking about. This was a sapling I've been growing, I don't know, maybe 4 years now, and it's got nice red twigs as well. But this is a Japanese maple, and it was from a seedling from the front yard tree that we have. So I nurtured that and raised it up. And then this tiny one over here, which will take a long time to grow, is a coral bark maple. And I feel silly even showing you. It's just one little twig here. Again, red, but that will take some time to grow. But I think those two will be pretty here, and it'll become 2 Japanese maple trees here and over here next to our seating area. And I will probably put at least 1 taller evergreen here. Nothing that grows too tall, maybe 2, we'll see. But I still have my bird set up here, and I'll be putting the top of the bird bath out soon. But again, everything is looking awfully brown. Now I've got lots of hostas that will come up, and it's going to be drastically different for them without the tree. So we'll see if they survive in the sun. I have a whole bunch of hostas here that got a lot of sun, and they look good for about half the season. So I think it's going to be a shock for some of these that are used to shade, and we'll just have to see what happens. The space is evolving. So I rather like how that new seating area looks where the old pine tree used to be, and I'm starting to get excited about redoing that area. And I think so far it's going well. And there's lots of brown in the triangle garden. I'll say I will miss the pine tree because I used to mulch everything with the pine needles. So that is something that I'll miss, and I'll just find another source for mulch. And I feel like my garlic tub is kind of ruining my look over here. But as you can see, more daffodils are coming up around this blood good Japanese maple. And this one, like my coral bark Japanese maple, came off of eBay. Just some small seedlings. So I have a ring around it and some dwarf mondo grass underneath. But the ring is there because I have rabbits that like to nest under our deck, and they come out and they eat things, and they like new Japanese maple leaves. So I'm hoping that copper ring is going to keep them away. We'll see. But I also have some early-ish blooming daffodils over here in front of my hydrangeas, and all my hydrangeas still look like twigs. Too early for them to show any signs of life, but I do have some collard greens here that overwintered. So those are looking pretty good. I think they like that spot, and perhaps they're a little bit sheltered from winter weather being back near the house. And this is a borrowed view. It looks like my neighbor's cherry tree is starting to bloom, and I don't know if it's visible on camera, but it is just a buzz with bees already. So already the pollinators are waking up and enjoying that early nectar. Not too much to see in these polytunnel beds. Some of my broccoli has made it. It looks like only 2 of them are going to mature to give me maybe a small head of broccoli. Just these 2 are looking promising. But I just removed a whole bunch of the brown leaves. I did plant a whole bunch of turnips, and those were from little cell packs that I winter sowed and grew in the polytunnel for about a month and a half first, but then I put them out and they seem to have taken. I did that last week. And it looks like the green onion bottoms that we planted together last year are coming back, and I think I can predict that they will probably send up flowers this spring because it'll be their 2nd year growing. And over here there's not much. I did plant some kale. That was also growing in the polytunnel. It's very hard to see because it's small, but I'm hoping that takes. Did that a few days ago, and hopefully it's sending out roots and will grow nice and tall in that area. And then in the front, I have black hull-less barley, and I have 3 clumps of that, and that's basically just there to improve the soil. It looks like grass, but it does make beautiful, if all goes well, it makes these beautiful fronds that have the barley on it. So we'll see how that works out. I've never grown barley before, but I am trying to grow some things in these beds that will help naturally improve the soil and add nitrogen and Anytime you have a plant in the ground, it's going to be photosynthesizing and sending sugars down to the roots. So you're going to help keep your soil alive. My plan is to put out a couple trellises in these beds for the golden snow peas, and hopefully the sugar snap peas will come up, and maybe I'll do one in this bed, a trellis over here. So we'll see what I end up with. You know, when you start things, you don't always know what you're going to end up with, what's going to make it. I do have some things growing out here in the unheated polytunnel, and I can show you a few of the things that are doing well. Some of the things are newly planted and might not show up yet, but we do have some shallots here. And we have some primrose, which I'm just seeing teeny weeny seedlings. This is a teeny weeny seedling here. It's so small you can barely see it. We have some Australian brown onions and the borage seed roll doing well back there. And then we have some spinach in the back left corner over here. I have some thyme cuttings. And I just planted some sugar snap peas yesterday, so those, of course, are not up yet. Those were some sage cuttings and rosemary cuttings, and I'm really not sure if they made it. Those were taken probably in January. And I just took some cuttings after trimming back my lavender. So those are in this bin. And I have another bit of lettuce started, which just got sprinkled out yesterday. So there's nothing to show yet. I do have purple Prince zinnia in a seed snail, and those have sprouted quite nicely. And then over here, these are exciting. These are cuttings from my fava bean seedlings, and I have those over here. So I may have gained 4 extra fava bean plants, and those are to improve my soil up here next to the polytunnel in my 2 raised beds. So I'm excited to grow those this year. I did sprinkle some ageratum seeds in the back. It might be too early for them to sprout. And my golden snow peas, which we sowed in a seed snail together, have all come up, so I'm very excited to see how well those did. And I probably will plant those out in another couple weeks. If I see the temperatures warming, I'll go ahead and do that. And then over here, I have some winter gem lettuce, and that has all been pricked out and replanted with a little bit more soil. And I started that in a smaller container, so that's easy enough to do. And then over here, I have some envy zinnia, and these are some of my favorite zinnias. They make beautiful chartreuse green flowers, so hopefully they will make it. And everything in this polytunnel also gets covered at night. So I put all the lids on at night and cover them up, because it is still getting quite cold here at night. But it's going to be a very warm week, and I'm so excited. But I've got some pansies coming up here. The calendula is not doing so well. I think maybe I put them in with too much soil, and the soil doesn't look like it's a great draining mix. So only a couple of those are going to make it. And then over here, I have some onions. These are cipollini onions coming up in my seed snail. And the thing that did the best in the seed snail, other than the green snow peas, the golden snow peas, is this. These are the bachelor buttons. They are loving this seed snail setup. So guys, I'm kind of learning what likes the seed snail setup, and I love what a space saver it is. It's really fantastic. So but these are great to winter sow because they can handle some really cold temperatures. And then back here is a little box I put there for my neighbor's cat. He likes to come and sun himself, but it's too hot in here right now, so he's not in here. Got things on the go. I've got loads of things growing inside, and I'm just waiting for it to warm up, guys. But I'm excited to see some signs of life in the garden. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're having fun with your seedlings.